G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. So, fresh off the last round of Lakeside Drags. Car went pretty good overall. A couple of things to improve on, but one thing that seems to be pretty consistent with it lately is right at 20 kilometers an hour with no boost, like 6 pound, 7 pound. Doesn't take much boost, it's not making much power. It wheel spins right at 20 k's an hour. So it's really been making me think. I think as I leave, the car squats off the trans brake, it rolls out. As soon as it gets to 20 k's an hour, the suspension comes back up, unweights the rear, and off goes the wheel spin. Because if I limit the throttle and limit the boost, it'll pull through it. But like, I'll put in a clip now, racing the VL. I left on him, and then right at 20 k's an hour, when I've got to pull all the power out of it, he just keeps going. He keeps accelerating. My car just dead in the water, then it starts ramping the power back in. So I am led to believe that it's going to be my suspension. I don't have any good like high-speed video showing what the suspension's doing, because at Lakeside you can't have someone on the starting line film you, but that's my real theory here. Don't have shock travel sensors or anything like that. Just going to go with, I think that's what it is. We're going to put some shocks in it. I've had some Shockworks sitting here since May last year. I went and grabbed them down in Melbourne when I was down there for my nephew's birthday. Known the Shockworks boys forever. They do a freaking awesome product. As soon as I got this car, which was actually about a year ago today nearly, I saw that they do no prep shocks and stuff. Messaged them, got a set. It's been sitting here ever since. The reason I haven't fit them yet is I wanted to get the car consistent so that I could fit them and see what it does to improve times. The car's not super consistent, but one thing that is consistent is that wheel spin. So we're going to chuck them in and see how that goes, because if it fixes that, I can put in more power and this thing will freaking fly. So let's get off the dyno onto a hoist, let's get the shocks out and let's start ripping into it. Now I've got to ring Tim from Shockworks when I've got all the shocks out so he can help me with the setup, how they want them all set, the heights and whatever. Droop, I don't know. Anyway, we'll find out when we get there. But let's get on the hoist and get the shocks, all the stock suspension out of it, and start fitting some coilovers. Gonna weigh it one more time and get like all the corner weights and front and rear balance and everything, just to see how it is affected when the coilovers are in. So we're obviously zeroed. We're gonna put on the front again and the rear. Take note of that. I know I keep showing this, but I want to use it for my own reflection anyway, and then other people can see what happens. So I don't actually know if the weight will really change much if I lift the front and lower the rear. Is that going to put more weight on the rear and less weight on the front? I don't know. I've never done it. We're going to find out. Axle 463, 472. Directly in the middle of the front axle. I'm going to try and get this one as accurate as possible, because this is going to be a better before and after. 463, 472. All right, directly in the middle of the rear. We've got 365, 361. Let's add that, get our total. 1661, sweet. All right, let's print that and keep a memory of that. Other than the weight, I'm also going to bust the tape measure out and measure center of wheel hub to center of guard, front, rear, left, right, just to get a baseline on where we started and where we end up with heights and everything. And just for my own reference, probably, it may not even make it into the video. 371 millimeters, 375 millimeters, 375 millimeters, 365 millimeters. So the front right corner is actually the most sagged corner. And then when you add the driver, that will sag even more. So we'll pay attention to that when we put the coilovers in and try and keep that one up a little bit higher to compensate. More measurement I want to make is I'm just going to measure full droop as well, front and rear. Just compare that. Now this tyre has just touched on some bumps, I'm guessing. Even pulling little chunks out of it. Chipping that front edge away a little bit. I'm just going to have a look at this. Yeah, it looks like it's just touching there. So I might have to get creative there and cut that. I don't really care about, you know, the quality of the paint or anything like that. I'd rather it not touch. Might even just give that a bash with a hammer. So when I do pull the springs and shocks out, I'll put the wheel back on and just lift it up and just see what at full like compression, where it touches and stuff, because that'll be a better indicator with the spring out, because I can go all the way up. 460 millimeters. We'll do both rears first. 460, 465. Pretty much ballpark about the same. 470. So I have about 100 mil of travel between full droop and ride height, because these were about 370, 375 and 360. So yeah, 472. So all right, got a record of that. Just gonna go ahead, rip all 4 wheels off, and once all the wheels off, I'll just show you one front, one rear, how to remove the springs and shocks. Alright, so cut pretty much everything away that's going to touch. Alright, I will neaten that a little bit and then give it a lick of paint. Alright, so I don't know how much of this will work on video, but we're going to go with a power file. See how smooth we can get it. Alright, that's really smooth in there now, so that's not going to slice the tyre or anything, and that should just allow it to clear. Does look somewhat horrific on video, but it's actually really smooth in person. Time for some gloss black. This is a perfect match to BA black. Now we just keep an eye on that and see if any of that is no longer black, and then we know we're still rubbing. Shocks out. Now your sway bar is going to want to keep that arm up. So if you undo your other shock first, you'll be able to get your springs out easier. Now your springs may come out, but in my case, no, they won't. So I might undo the sway bar mounts and just let the sway bar drop down a little more, which will help us. Alright, I'm going to get a pry bar and just pry this down so I can get that spring out. It's been a while, guys. I haven't done BA springs in 15 years. There we go. That's all we were missing. Pry bar. Up here, you just got to knock that little tab flat because the billet spring perch goes in the top. The spring height adjuster, I guess. So just going to smack them flat with a chisel, and hopefully I don't get shit in my eyes. Alright, flat-ish. Maybe we'll just snap it off. We'll chisel it back again. Might just get some pliers and wiggle it till it snaps. That was easier. Might just do that on the other side. It's the full rear end torn down. That's everything I need out of it. Going to open up the box now and compare it to the Shockworks. What do we got here? We've got fronts. So here we have the Shockworks front strut, modelled exclusively with the woolen gloves. How could you not enjoy that? Anyway, just gonna put that back in the box and get the rears out. Now, I have up their spanner game, because I remember you used to get 2 of the little flimsy spanners. You get a much bigger, thicker. It's like a centimetre thick now. Nice and sharp on the end of it. Good for adjusting. But we're going to put them in and see what the ride heights are first before we bother adjusting anything. Got ourselves a sweet Shockworks sticker. So we got a rear spring, and a rear dampener. It's got a little boot on it now. My old set didn't have a boot. I believe they are that way. Sticker up, adjuster at the bottom so you can reach down and change them. And there's a billet spring perch, well, spring top. So that will go that way in the car to the top. All right, I'm going to get the front suspension out now and I'm going to put it all on the ground and compare it all. Individual cars might vary, but for your fronts you want to undo your 3 shock bolts. This one can be tricky with the ECU there. Stock ECU's got security bolts, mine's got Allen keys, so I'm just going to unbolt my ECU and pull it out of the way a bit, get a straight shot. You can generally get to that with a ECU still in place with the right like length sockets and unis and whatnot. I'm simply just going to unplug my crank pressure sensor, undo my ECU bolts and pull my ECU out of the way. Now on the other side, you just got to undo your coolant overflow. Then you move your twin Mac valves out of the way. If you've got phase anti-phase set up like myself, so absolutely no one else. Undo these rigs. I will just leave one in for now. And I'll get the calipers unbolted first because I just don't want it to all. No, we're good. All right, you can undo all 4. And that hasn't dropped too much yet. That will obviously drop more, you know, once you get the sway bar and stuff undone. So I'll start with the top one. Alright, we're stressing my ABS here, so I might just undo what I've just done. We might just flip these off. Alright, we're good. Let's undo the ABS line real quick. To be honest, I might just leave that caliper in because that shock is easily coming off. Let's just use our hook for something else. No, we can't really hook that anyway. Alright, let's just undo the caliper. I've done that the most awkward way possible. That was never going to work anyway. Let's just hook her over here. Right. Alright, 24 and 22. Hold the bolt, undo the nut. Now you want to do that up at ride height. At 100% ride height is ideal. Pull that rig out. Now comes the strut. Here's a good comparison between what we got and what we're getting. So obviously front shocks are now coilover, rears you've got an adjustable perch and an adjustable shock. I do believe the rear shocks are height adjustable under the boots maybe, but I don't know, maybe not. I'll compare the heights to the factory ones and see if they're similar. Anyway, I will start fitting it now. Just had a good look at these, pulled the boot up. Definitely not height adjustable in the shock, so there is no adjustments to be made there. So I will start putting this back together. Obviously, one shock will be set up like this with, you know, logo out flat. The other one is the single bolt sort of to the front. So you want to, oh no, that's what this one is. Anyway, it might even spin the top hat, I can't remember. I don't think they're offset or anything, so go with. Put the top in, do some nuts up, and then spin the bottom. So the bottom is not fully locked, so I can spin the bottom. Just gonna line the bolt up. Oh, I definitely forgot to run the ABS sensor through. This is how not to fit them, by the way, guys. This is how not to do a video. Right. That is one side pretty much buttoned up. Just got to tighten the lower nut at ride height and tighten the top nuts once it's on the ground. Both sides are perfectly situated. Just going to get onto the rears now, get them fitted, and then put the wheels back on and check ride heights. Okay, so doing the rears, I'm going to trim these a bit so that fits on it. So just got to take that little part off. So the rubber isolator will still fit. Then you go, need to make sure your nylon isolator is on there because the springs, as they compress, they twist. It's the only way for the material to go. Now we're going to go with quite a fairly tall height to start with, and then measure it. But anyway, yeah. So just going to cut some off that first, and then see how that looks, and then I'll show you fitting it. That's what we're aiming for. Oh, look at that! Perfect first go. All right, easy days. All the room in the world on that. So we're going to go with even taller. And basically just start with it flush and just see where that sits. So going to just get both sides in and then lift it up and add the shocks. Alright, so using a adjustable exhaust jack to lift the hub. Alright, my goal here is to line up the spring with the perch and line up the shock. Spring is situated. Now we lower this. That ain't going anywhere. Now we just repeat that on the other side. This is why, if you undo the sway bar, it makes your life easier. Look at the angle of those two arms. So that's one shock disconnected, one shock bolted up. So when you're trying to pull the springs out, it's obviously a lot easier to undo the sway bar, and then the arms can pivot separately. This side got a quick touch up too. Wasn't rubbing as bad, but it did still have a big spot on it. So that's all cut away now. Bloody beautiful. So the car is fully back together, and you know what you guys forgot to remind me to do? Leave the spring out and put the wheel on and put it all the way up. But anyway, I don't really care. There's more for the video, and I'm not pulling the spring out again just to do that. So gonna put the wheels on, drop it down onto the ground and measure our ride heights. I'll roll it backwards a bit, forwards a bit, bounce it a few times, measure our ride heights and see where we're sitting. And because curiosity always gets the better of me, our droop height is now 405, so we've actually got less droop in the rear. Front was 460. Front is now 440, 445. 405. So definitely less rear droop. All right, the rear got the memo. Ride height looks spot on. The front not so much. The front is Stancy Boy. So it's got some absolute savage rake. So anyway, my lunch just got here. I'm gonna eat some lunch and then I'm gonna whack it back in the air and just add some more height to the front. So we need to raise the front about probably 30, 35 mil. So glad we left these loose. We're gonna basically add some spanners. So we're just gonna make sure that the spring perch is fully locked so that if I start turning it, we don't loosen it or anything. Alright, so that is locked. So let's start cranking this up. We can probably even do this by hand while it's new. Yep. Don't know how to do this without constantly being in your guys' way. Keep moving the base spring, this thing. What I should have done is just measured the height so I don't have to worry about where it's sitting. Just going to measure the height on the other side. Alright, it was 77 mil. This side is already 87, so we've gone up 10 mil on the shock. We want to go up another 10 mil. $92. Another few more rotations. It's too tight to spin by hand now. Alright, 95. One more full rotation should cover it. About 97 mil. Maybe 90, yeah, 97 mil. Just compare that to the other side. Oh, it's about, yeah, 78 maybe. So anyway, we've gone up 20 mil on the shock, which will be about 35 mil of ride height. So we'll start with that. I'll just get this side adjusted and then put the wheels back on, drop it down again and have a look. All right, I've got to remember what the heights were. I can go back and watch the video, but got a little bit of clearance now. It's not tucking the rim, tucking the tyre. So middle of the guard, 360 exactly. Pretty sure we were 375 in the front. I'll go back and watch my video, but I'll measure the rear now as well and compare. So that's gone up a lot. I think the rear was 360. I went back and watched my video, 371 millimeters, 375, 375, 365. So I'm going to aim to be 380, 380, 380, 380. I think is going to be a good height to start with. I'm going to start sussing that out now. Both fronts are 355, so 10 mil lower than stock on this side and 20 mil lower than stock on the other side, or 15 mil. And both rears are like 380, 382. So they're up about 7 mil, which is perfect. So just going to put 10 more mil into the front spring perch, which should raise me my 15 mil that I need. So 355, I need 25 mil. Yeah, I need to add 15 mil, I think, and that should have me pretty good. Right, it's about 3. I really should have just tucked it under that, but it's hard to get it in the middle every time. 370. So I think we could do another 5 mil on the base. I'll check the other side real quick. Yeah, 370. So one more adjustment. I'm just going to add 5 more to the base, and that'll do us. Front is looking nice and high. Give this a test. Out there, perfect. Dead on 380. 1'3". Just double check the other side. I did put like maybe 2 mil more spring in this than the other side, just to make it, just when I'm in it, it'll sink down a little bit. Right, this side, 380 exactly. Perfect. Done. I'm going to drive it out, put on the scales and see what she weighs. I really have no idea if this is going to be lighter or heavier, but we are all zeroed. Let's roll the front on. All right, 472, 458 is now on. Funny enough, Right, 362, 364. So I can't do the maths that quickly in my head, whether that's more or less. As soon as I click add, it'll show me on the next screen. But we used to have a cross left-right that was really offset in the rear. The rear is now equal and the front is now offset with more on the passenger side, which is interesting because that actually technically would make it better when I'm in it. We have lost 4 kilos with the Shockworks, so that's pretty cool. I didn't think it would actually lose that much weight, but yeah, that is 4 kilos lighter. Now that I have also measured the car, I've driven it out, it's rolled, it's gone over bumps. I'll just re-measure all the ride heights again. Right, basically 377. 377. 380, well, 379. 373. Would I like to get that one a little bit higher, but anyway, the weight balance is good according to the scales. So 373 on that one. My before and after. So we've lost 4 kilos. It's lost 4 kilos in the front and the rear has stayed the same, which is actually really awesome because that's what I was hoping for. And it's shifted weight from the passenger side to the driver's, from the driver's side to the passenger side. And it's left the rear. It's moved a little bit of the weight from this side to that side. Sorry, other way around. It's moved a little bit of weight from this side to this side. Not the end of the world, but we've gained 6 mils of ride height in the front left, 8 mils in the front right, and the rear has gained basically 2 to 4 mil. I probably should pull 2 mil out of this, and then that'll probably actually put that weight back over there, and then that'll probably be even again. But anyway, it's going to stay like that. It's the rough ride heights now. I will pull it out out in the sun and show you the ride heights, and then I'll put it up on the dyno ramps and tighten those lower shock mounts to the control arm on the dyno ramps. That's how she sits. It does look a little bit tail up still, I suppose, but it's probably due to the tyre size because the rear tyre is taller than the front, but the guard to center of hub measurement is about the same. I think it's about 4 mil higher in the rear. So I may raise the front some more at some point, but it's going to be like that at the next no prep, which is on May 3rd, which is in 2 weeks. So that is going to end the video off here, guys. The freaking BA is on coilovers. Just going to back it up onto the ramp and tighten the front, shock lower bolts, and I'll get a wheel on it during the week. So I will let you know how that goes. I will probably see you next on the next video. What a coincidence. Thanks for watching. See you next time.